It's time to rumble. It's time for the Royal Rumble. Coked up late 80s, early 90s Vince introductions were certainly the best. The cream of the crop, the snort of the powder, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, I'm John Redden with the retro review of WWE Royal Rumble 1989. And you can say one thing about this Rumble. Among all the Royal Rumble winners in history, Big John Studd was certainly one of them. They really didn't care that much about this match at this point, even though it would get better in the coming years. Big John Studd as the first ever winner of the 30-man edition of the Royal Rumble. Obviously, Hacksaw Jim Duggan won the 20-man Royal Rumble that happened just a year prior, but Big John Studd, who would retire soon after this, at WrestleMania 5, he was a guest referee. That's what he was. He didn't have any title match, any big opportunity, whatever it is. He was a special guest referee. And then he would retire and then, unfortunately, pass away a few years after that. Well, whatever. I mean, hey, it meant something to him, and it was at least historic as far as that. But the rest of the event, ooh. So it was at the Summit in Houston. 19,000 fans, possibly, maybe. WWE never inflates their numbers. Not like the 93,173 inside the Silverdome. Yeah, okay, sure, all right. I believe you, Vince. But it was great for Hulk Hogan to be back at Mania 30 inside the Silverdome. Wait, oh no, I'm sorry. He doesn't know geography, just like he doesn't know, well, really how to keep his goddamn mouth quiet and shut his goddamn mouth and maybe not be a goddamn racist piece of shit getting caught on camera. So let's talk about this event. It wasn't very good. It was better than the 1988 edition because this was on pay-per-view, but oh boy. So, Vince, just those goddamn introductions. Now, it would get even crazier for 91, 92, 93, 94. I think by 95 he was kind of done doing that stuff, but still, it was just great for about a 5-6 year period. He was just absolutely insane and balls to the wall, and let's hear it for the... Anyway. The Monsoon and Ventura on commentary. The dark matches, by the way, were Jim Powers versus Barry Horowitz and Sam Houston versus Steve Lombardi. So at least the fans in Houston could say, wow, we got to see Sam Houston. We probably wanted to see anybody other than Sam. Poor Sam Houston. Poor Sam Houston. He was never going to translate that well to WWE programming, but he certainly wasn't bad in the ring and has really been through a whole lot of stuff. If you've seen the Dark Side of the Ring and the Shadow of Grizzly Smith episode, whoo. So, the Canadian strongman Dino Bravo and the fabulous Rougeau brothers, Raymond and Jacques, along with Jimmy Hart and Frenchie Martin, took on the Hart Foundation and Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Okay, so Hart and Martin were actually Harton, if you will, were outside the ring, and it was a 2 out of 3 falls match. Why? Why not? The heels did end up getting the first fall after, there was a taint lunge and everything, because anytime another man lunges his taint at you, you're going to stay down. Don't ask me how I know that. Always delete your search history. I will be taking no further questions on this. And Brett got targeted for a long while. And then Duggan hits an elbow and gets a second fall after, oh, this guy's illegal, this guy's illegal. Duggan hit a lame elbow and get the victory. All right, so 1-1. And then Duggan gets beat up until a melee. And then Dino ends up taking Duggan's wood all over his back, straight from behind. Ouch, man, taking a giant 2x4 from behind. I only know one X that could have done that. She could have just slid down the goddamn bar stool and not even felt it. If you get that joke, you get that joke. So, 2-1 for the faces. They won. To a big pop. And pre-recorded comments from DiBiase, who's not happy with his number. So he asks Slick, hey, can I buy one of your guys' numbers? I mean, he doesn't say it on camera. That's what he does, because he ends up at number 30 and ends up being number 1 for the following Rumble in 1990, which I've retro-reviewed a whole lot of these Rumbles. You can check out the old school wrestling reviews playlist. A lot of these fucking Rumbles. I mean, a whole lot of them. I mean, I think the last 2 years alone, 2019 I did a few. 2020, 2021, I did a ton. I think I only have maybe 10 of these left. I've done a lot of this shit because it's nice to revisit and relive the Royal Rumble, even if some of the events weren't particularly good, like this one. So, Bad News and Jake picked their numbers. The Bushwhackers do. Then they switched their numbers because they were like 10 and 15, so it's not like there was that much of a difference. And it's not like the Bushwhackers were going to win. And the Rockers also picked their numbers. So, Rock and Robin, boy, jeez, again, that In the Shadow of Grizzly Smith episode, poor Robin. Poor Rock and Robin. She took on Judy Martin for the WWE Women's Championship, and Robin was defending it. Sherry Martel says, I want the winner. She joins commentary and takes the piss out of everybody. Slams everybody. Even the cotton candy vendors that I don't even know were actually in the summit. She slammed everybody. Literally everybody. Even the children that weren't born from the, the people that maybe were possibly expecting children and the wives were at home. Who the hell knows? Sherry was just being a vicious goddamn bitch. But sensational Sherry, rest in peace. Always made the most of any time she was on commentary, at ringside, or in the ring. And so we get a DDT for 2, we get some near falls, and we get a crossbody for 3. Not a bad match. The Jumping Bomb Angels versus Glamour Girls from the previous Rumble would actually be better. But this wasn't bad. It was only given about 6.5 minutes. Mania 5 ad. And make sure, because it's coming up on April 2nd of 1989, so get your tickets soon. If you get a time machine and you do the time warp again. Not if you do get a 2002 version of the time machine. We don't talk about that one. Why was Samantha Mumba in that? It's always strange, because I don't recall her doing much of anything after that. So anyway, I might have retro-reviewed that. So let's move on to Pre-Taste with Slick, talking about his guys. And Mean Gene says, hey, or Sean Mooney actually says, hey, wait a second, what about DiBiase talking to you? Oh, I thought you meant this guy. Well, you don't need to know about my business. Mean Gene then hosts a super pose down. It is Rick Rude and the Ultimate Warrior doing bodybuilding poses. And man, Warrior must have just had flashbacks back before he was made one of the biggest stars in wrestling, because Vince McMahon had a bodybuilding fetish. And every other promotion basically ran him out because, oh yeah, he wasn't very fucking good and didn't respect wrestling and thought he should be paid exorbitant amounts of money, despite the fact he wasn't very fucking good. Once again, fuck the Ultimate Warrior. I'm glad he's dead. So, because Mr. Queering doesn't make the world work, deserved every bit of ridicule that he got. So, this was bad. This was really, really bad. Now, people were popping for the Warrior, doing the poses. And doing all that and everything. And he was doing the poses. He was doing... He was just doing all that and everything. And Rick Rude was trying to make the most of this. He was always taking a bendy bar. It's like a slinky in the middle and doing this and this. I knew a girl that could do this kind of stuff or whatever, especially, and she could actually do another one with another appendage if you paid her enough. Don't ask me how. It was amazing, though. It was like, it was in the spirit of competition, if you will. And I have never seen somebody able to rotate without using their hands and feet. So let's move hastily on and talk about the super pose down. It was shit. Rick Rude lost and hit him with the bar from behind after Warrior got squirted in the eyes by the oil, because Bobby Heenan is trying to make this work. And then he gets the bendy bar over his neck and then he beats everybody and Hulk Hogan. Whew. It's fun to make fun of Warrior. It really is. Because the guy had never made any goddamn sense. But yeah, he beat up a bunch of agents and referees and everything. Probably very carelessly, knowing how Warrior worked. So Mr. Fuji talked about how Demolition they're going down because the Powers of Pain will take care of them. So Fuji was with Demolition, then turned on him and joined the Powers of Pain. And then would be part of the handicap match at Mania 5. And then Demolition would be faces again at Mania 6. And then would be heels soon after that. Weird how they defended the tag team championships. They were part of the tag team picture at WrestleMania 4, 5, and 6. And then by 7, they weren't, and they were disbanded soon after. So Liz says she will cheer for both Savage and Hogan. Reminder that Randy Savage was always better than Hulk Hogan. So Jimmy Hart talks about his guys. Ventura is on the throne for the next match. It's Haku versus Harley Race. The winner is the King of the Ring for the crown and cape. And God, it was sad to see Harley like this. He had the scar down his stomach and everything. I believe that was due to hernia surgery. Now, I know he'd been stabbed and, a lot of stuff had happened to him and everything, and a legit tough guy. But he had money issues in the mid-'80s because of, I believe, the Central States Territory, the Kansas City Territory. And even though he made money in his career, he decided to go up at the end of his career, being able to do more with less and do some stuff. But yeah, that table bump that ended up, necessitating the surgery that he had. It was really sad to see him like this. It was what it was. He hit a couple pile drivers, including one outside, but then got hit with a thrust kick 1, 2, 3. And I believe this was his last high-profile match. I don't even think he was with the company by Mania 5. He would retire About a year and a half later, almost 2 years later, I think he would wrestle till late 90, early 91, depending on what you believe. But considering he'd been wrestling since the since the decade of the 50s, even if it was on the latter half of the 50s, it's not even somebody as tough as Harley Race eventually needs to slow down. And unfortunately, he passed away a couple years ago, 3 years ago, in fact, no longer with us. Rest in peace, Harley Race. Also, Haku, at this point, could still beat the shit out of anybody, and I'm terrified that Haku is going to think I'm being disrespectful. Please don't beat up anybody, Haku. Apparently, he's a nice guy. He's just scary. So, more pre-tape stuff. I don't know why they thought Greg Valentine giving a promo was a good idea. And then the Heenan family is talking. It's the Brainbusters, Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard during their brief stint in the company. And Andre saying he's going to toss everybody out. Everybody out. And then we get to the 30-man Rumble match. Axe and Smash. Here comes the ass. Here comes the Smasher. Smasher, I barely know her. So Demolition tangles. Andre comes in at number 3. Smash was tossed out soon after. Garvin came in at number 5. He was tossed out soon after. And Garvin and Valentine even got to tangle for a bit. Oh, God. And then they would revisit that at the 90 Rumble in the submission match. Mr. Furbick was number 4. Stayed around for a bit. Jake Snake Roberts comes in. Tangles with Andre. Gets tossed out soon afterwards. Outlaw Ron Bass comes out. Number 9 is Sean, and Butch of the Bushwhackers is number 10. Jake comes back with a snake, scares Andre, he eliminates himself. Oh, snakes. And then Honky Tonk Man's number 11. You know, one of the worst Intercontinental Champions of all time. Chico Santana, as Jesse Ventura calls him, was at number 12. Bad News Brown at number 13, and bam, Bad News Brown lasted quite a while, partly because he couldn't leave his goddamn feet because his knees were shot at that point. And Honky was eliminated. Nothing of value was lost. Marty was at number 14. Savage was at 15. Arn and Tully 16 and 17. Hulk at number 18, 2 a pop. He eliminates Perfect, then later eliminates Arn and Tully. He eliminates like 8 people. You would think that Hogan would be the winner. You'd have Hogan win the first ever 30-man Rumble and go on to face Randy Savage, but you couldn't telegraph that and everything. No, you had to nurse this thing along for a little bit, even though it was a well-told story-ish. This was certainly something. This was certainly, some good storytelling. I just wish that Savage had won at Mania 5. I just really wish he had, because in all honesty, Savage should have been the first heel champion to retain. Though you could argue that Savage was the baby face in the feud, because we know how Hogan is with other people's wives. So, Luke was at number 19. Coco was at number 20. Warlord at 21. He was eliminated very quickly. Like, he got in and boop. And then Liz comes down to stop Savage and Hogan from arguing, because Hogan accidentally dumped Bad News Brown and Savage out. And then the Boss Man and Akeem come in. They were called the Twin Towers back then. I'm not going to call them that now, but that's what they were called. And tosses them out to Booth. Hogan's elimination was just very odd. And that telegraphed, wow, we're going to have a really random winner. Hogan then battles the Boss Man after pulling down the top rope to save Beefcake. He couldn't save him from that parasailing accident a bit of time later. And then the Red Rooster is out there. Terry Taylor's career never recovered. And Brutus is trying to, keep it together, but he's just taking too much poundage. That's what, just too much poundage for him is what Gorilla Monsoon says. What I was trying to say. Big John Studd in number 27. The first ever winner of the 30-man concept at 27. And the winningest number, I believe, 27 is at least the winningest, or the, tied for the winningest number. DiBiase was in number 30. Studd ends up eliminating him to get the victory, and then beats up Virgil, and that's pretty much it right there. So, yeah, this event wasn't necessarily the greatest, but at least had its moments, as far as historical purposes. But, man, things would get a whole lot better in the coming years. And then we'd get to 1995. That was not very good. Not very good at all. Agree, disagree what I said? Like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Rickland. I'll see you soon.